Once upon a time in the seemingly innocent town of Westmore, there lived a wimpy kid named Greg Heffley. Greg was known for his pathetic attempts at relevance and his constant whining about the unfairness of life. Little did he know that his life was about to take a sinister turn. Greg's younger brother Manny always seemed like an innocent little brat, but beneath that angelic facade lurked a twisted darkness. Manny was secretly obsessed with power and control, and he had been planning something truly sinister for a long time. Strange occurrences begin to plague Greg's life. He starts receiving anonymous messages threatening him and his loved ones. The messages mention a hidden secret, something that could destroy Greg's life forever. Fear creeps into Greg's heart as he tries to uncover the truth. Meanwhile, a series of unexplained gun violence incidents start happening in the town. Innocent people are targeted, leaving the community in a state of terror. The police are baffled, unable to find any leads or motives. Little do they know that Manny is the mastermind behind it all. Greg's paranoia grows with each passing day as he starts suspecting everyone around him. His once peaceful existence turns into a living nightmare. One night, as Greg lay in bed, he heard a noise coming from outside his window. At first, he tried to ignore it, thinking it was just the wind. But the noise grew louder and more persistent. With a trembling hand, Greg slowly reached for his phone and dialed 911. He whispered to the operator about the strange noise, but before he could finish, he heard a voice behind him. "Who are you calling, Greg?" It was Manny. Greg froze, his heart racing in his chest. He slowly turned around to face his brother, who was standing in the shadows, holding a gun. "Manny, what are you doing?" Greg asked, his voice shaking. Manny stepped closer, the gun pointed at Greg's head. "You were told not to eat the Honey Boom donuts, Greg. I bought them with Mom. Me, not you. But you just couldn't help yourself, could you?" Greg tried to reason with his brother, telling him that he'll buy all the donuts that he wants, but Manny wasn't listening. He just kept advancing. "It will never happen again, I promise," Greg pleaded. Manny just smirked, his eyes glinting with a twisted pleasure. "That's not good enough, Greg. You need to learn your place in this family, and I'm going to teach you." With a sudden movement, Manny pulled the trigger. The gunshot echoed through the house, sending a chill down Greg's spine. But to his surprise, the bullet missed him by inches, shattering the window behind him. Greg didn't waste any time. He lunged towards his brother, trying to grab the gun from his hand. Manny fought back, hitting Greg with the butt of the gun and knocking him to the ground. As Greg lay there, his vision blurred and his head spinning, he realized that he was no match for his younger brother. Manny was stronger and more determined than he had ever seen him before, and Greg knew that he was in deep trouble. But then, a sudden realization dawned on him. He remembered the anonymous messages, the hidden secret, and he knew that Manny was behind it all. His brother had been planning this for a long time, waiting for the right moment to strike. With a newfound strength, Greg fought back, pushing his brother off him and grabbing the gun. He pointed it at Manny, who backed away, fear in his eyes. "It's over, Manny. You won't hurt me or anyone else anymore," Greg said, his voice firm and resolute. Manny looked at him, his lips trembling. "I'm sorry, Greg. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I just wanted to teach you a lesson." Greg lowered the gun, feeling a sense of relief wash over him. He knew that his brother was sick, but he also knew that he needed help. "Let's go to the police, Manny. We'll tell them everything," Greg said, reaching out to his brother. Manny nodded, taking Greg's hand and then hugging him. "I'm sorry, Greg. I'm not much of a talker," Manny said as he pulled a knife from his back pocket and stabbed Greg. Greg gasped in pain, feeling the blade penetrate his flesh. He looked at his brother, his eyes wide with shock and betrayal. "Why, Manny? Why did you do this?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Manny looked down with a twisted face. "I had enough, Greg. People only see me as a little baby who can't even talk. But now I'm going to show them who I really am. I'm going to take revenge on everybody who has wronged me." Greg felt his strength fading, his vision blurring. He knew that he was dying, but he also knew that he had to stop his brother from hurting anyone else. With a final burst of energy, Greg raised the gun and pulled the trigger. The bullet hit Manny in the chest, sending him crashing to the ground. Greg watched as his brother took his last breath, feeling a sense of relief wash over him. He knew that he had done the right thing, even if it meant sacrificing himself. As he closed his eyes, Greg whispered a prayer, hoping that his soul would find peace. He wondered if his death would bring an end to the violence in Westmore, or if it was just the beginning of a new reign of terror. The next day, the news of the Heffley brothers' deaths spread throughout the town like wildfire. People were shocked and saddened by the tragedy, but also relieved that the killer had been stopped. The police launched an investigation, trying to unravel the complex web of lies and secrets that had led to the brothers' deaths. But as they dug deeper, they realized that there were still more questions than answers. Months passed, but the town of Westmore never fully recovered from the Heffley brothers' deaths. The incident left a scar on the community, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurked beneath the surface. And even though life went on, people couldn't help but wonder what other secrets were waiting to be uncovered. Please subscribe so Manny doesn't come back from the dead and hunt me down.